Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, depending on where you are joining us from today. Thank you for joining us for the Academic Library Work Meets Sustainable Development. This is a webinar that is its third in a series of year-long discussions being hosted by the OCLC Global Council to create awareness and foster dialogue among library leaders on the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. If you haven't already done so, please use the chat. We want to hear from you, okay? We first want to just hear where you're from. So drop us a line in the chat, tell us your name, where you're from. We would love to hear from you. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Earl Givens, Jr. I'm the Dean of Learning Resources and Special Assistant to the President for Leadership Development at Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina. I'm also the Director of the Library. That's a very long title, so it's in there as well. Additionally, I'm a member of the OCLC Global Council. I serve as the Vice Chair of the Americas Regional Council. And I'm happy to be with you today as your moderator and share in this important work and this discussion as we discuss the global sustainability for libraries. So before we dive in, I want to share a few things about Global Council. Global Council is a 48-member group comprised of library leaders from across the globe. These library leaders are elected to serve and represent OCLC member library interests. Together, Global Council delegates work to generate insights that help inform OCLC strategic directions and advance libraries globally. So we advance shared knowledge through thought leadership and collaboration conversations with each other and with members throughout the world. And additionally, we promote our shared library values through global cooperation and active participation in the OCLC cooperative. So that brings us to why we're here today. Each year, the Global Council selects an area of focus. This year, we have selected the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, as we like to say for short. Librarians love acronyms, right? So our activities are focused on learning more about how libraries are using the SDGs to help improve their communities. So before we begin today with our panel discussion, let's take a moment to hear from you, our audience. All right, so we're going to be using Poll Everywhere. All right, I love Poll Everywhere. It's pretty awesome. There should be a link in the chat. The best way to use Poll Everywhere is to open an alternate internet browser and use that link to go in and answer our poll. So let's look at our question today. Our question is, where is your library on its awareness and use of the SDGs? So is it new awareness? And these will be live results. Is it new awareness? Are you not planning to use the SDGs? Are you planning to use them? Or are you currently doing something? We want to hear from you. All right, our results are coming in. And no matter where you land with these results, I believe that this session today will give you more insight whether you're already doing it or whether you want to get started or are just trying to find out more information. This is a great series that we have been hosting this year, and we're excited to share with you today. So we're looking at our results here. New awareness, SDGs are completely new to my library, is trending, as they say. And we still have results coming in. Still hovering around that 65% for new awareness. This is good. You're going to be learning something today, and we are excited to share with you. I think that's about it. Awesome. All right, so we're at 64% new awareness, 15% awareness, 19% planning, and 2% active use. All right, so let's dig in today so that we can get a little bit more information about the SDGs and how we can use them in our libraries. So we will begin today with our panel discussion by having our panelists introduce themselves. So let's begin with Constantia, Constantinou.
Good morning, everyone, and good morning, friends from around the world. Thank you, Errol, for making the introductions. My name is Constantia Constantinou, and I'm the Vice Provost and Director of Libraries at the University of Pennsylvania. Additionally, I'm also a member of the OCLC Global Council. It's good to be with you.
Thank you, Constantia. Matthias, please speak with us next.
Good afternoon or good morning, wherever you are. My name is Matthijs from Otegem. I'm the University Librarian of Erasmus University in Rotterdam, the Netherlands. And I'm happy to meet you and discuss the Sustainable Development Goals.
Thank you, Matthias. It's going to be awesome having you today. Next, we want to go to McKenzie.
Hey everybody, where I am, quite early in the morning, here in California. My name is McKenzie Smith, and I'm the University Librarian and Vice Provost for Digital Scholarship at the University of California, Davis campus, which is in Northern California. Nice to see you all.
Thank you, McKenzie. And finally, Evie, please speak with us.
Thank you, Elle. Hello, everyone. Lovely to see you. I'm Eva Manzar from the American College of Thessaloniki in Greece. I'm the Director of Libraries and Archives. And I'm also the chair of the coordinating committee of the Amical Consortium, and this includes liberal arts colleges, American liberal arts colleges outside the US. So lovely to see you all in Thessaloniki. It's 6 o'clock in the evening right now, and looking forward to discussing SDGs with you.
Thank you, Evie, and thank you to all of our panelists. We're scattered across different time zones, and we thank you for taking time out of your day to share with us. So with that, let's move to our first question. And our first question will be for Constantia. Please tell us how your institution is is using or planning to use the SDGs for strategic planning.
The University of Pennsylvania, which is, I forgot to mention before, is located in Philadelphia in the United States, has created what we call the Penn Compact, which is kind of a strategic plan, but these are guiding principles and priorities with some very powerful concepts such as inclusion, innovation, and impact. And the university motivates our community to be innovative, to be radically inclusive, and positively impact the local, national, and global communities. The Penn Library Strategic Plan, which is very recent, is 2020 to 2025, reflects the university's guiding principles. Our mission is to partner with communities at Penn and beyond to produce, to preserve, and to provide access to knowledge. And together we build dynamic resources, tools, and expertise that inspire critical inquiry and creative expression. The current events, such as the pandemic and social unrest in the United States, brought a new type of urgency to strengthen our library's efforts for community and civic engagement. And we consider sustainable development goals critical to the library's work in advancing quality education and information equity, supporting economic growth by providing access to information and by partnering with other cultural and educational institutions, by forming partnerships and other library organizations, and by developing organizational capacity within our own libraries that is informed by a commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion in order to advance opportunities and to reduce inequalities in our society. And of course, by remaining committed to having a global impact through intentional engagements and partnerships with other institutions and the communities that we serve. Thank you, Errol.
Thank you, Constantia. I picked up in your answer about partnerships. Partnerships, I believe, are highly important when moving forward with this kind of initiative in the SDGs. We don't have to do it alone. And so I want to hear from Matthias with the same question about your institution and where they're moving in this area.
Thank you, Earl. Well, my institution, Erasmus University Rotterdam in the Netherlands, has a clear purpose-driven mission. It's called Creating Positive Societal Impact, and it comes natural to this university. We were founded 100 years ago by local businessmen who need educated people to work in their companies and to grow international trade. And from such a purpose-driven mission, it's only a small step to the SDGs. So currently, we're developing a dashboard to measure our contribution to society. And the library provides the data about university research and education from our institutional repository, for instance. And I think lots of us have a purpose-driven mission. So that's something we could all jump on. But we also play another role as a library. We also play a part in rethinking the university strategy. We partner in its execution, not only for library-related topics, but also as a catalyst for change. For example, the library took the lead to pilot anonymous hiring in our recruitment process because we believe that this is an effective way to reduce inequality. So actually, because of the central and neutral position in universities, I believe libraries are a trusted partner and very well positioned to make a change and help to contribute to these SDGs.
Thank you, Matthias. I hear again the theme of partnership. It's awesome. We are that place, as we know, and it's awesome to see us not reinvent ourselves, but put ourselves out more in the open to connect to the different partnerships. Evie, please join. Same question for you.
Thank you, Earl. I would like to say, as I said earlier, we're based in Thessaloniki in the north of Greece. This is in the southeastern corner of Europe. We're an old American college, originally founded in 1886. We are not a non-for-profit organization. We do not refer to the SDGs explicitly in our institutional strategic plan. However, as you know, as all institutions, we do focus on similar priorities, apart from the obvious goal 4. For example, we offer a large percentage of scholarships to students, which links with goal 10, to reduce inequalities. We have our study abroad students from many US universities and all our regular students engaged in service action and offer thousands of hours of voluntary work in our community of Thessaloniki. We work with over 40 NGOs here, so with special needs centers, soup kitchens, local public schools, youth centers, and these link to different goals like 3, 4, 8, 10, 17. As for the BIS library, we're not involved directly in the strategic planning of the institution. However, all our departmental goals relate to the institutional ones. We're thinking of referring explicitly to the SDGs in our next update of our strategic goals. Currently, we offer library internships. We curate, of course, resources, offer books, guides, etc., to support the teaching community and develop the pedagogical and teaching skills of our faculty. We offer collections and guides on well-being. We offer, of course, the information literacy curriculum and collections and support services. And we have worked with refugees, and these all refer to goals 4 to 10. And for the future, would love to create more guides that refer to goal 4, like sustainable development, human rights, gender equality, diversity, promotion of peace and nonviolence, global citizenship, and anyway, inspire everyone around SDGs. Thank you.
Thank you, Evie. It sounds like you are connecting the SDGs and seeing major impact in that connection. And finally, McKenzie, I want to go to you. And give you an opportunity to respond to this question, but also anything that you've heard your fellow panelists speak on.
Thanks, Earl. Yeah, I'm already hearing a lot of themes that I think will be reflected in my own experience, and I look forward to other questions that will dive into that a little bit more. So let me just provide a bit of context. So the University of California, Davis campus is a very large public research university in the U.S., which is dedicated to public service, and particularly in our case to the state of California. So from the very beginning, the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals were a very prominent priority at the university and were adopted by our Global Affairs Department as a key initiative of the university through a lot of partnerships. So you're hearing similar themes with the other institutions. Our commitment to the SDGs is really part of every aspect of the university's strategy and is baked into our strategic plan. I think you would see if you saw the plan, it's very well aligned with the SDGs, even if it doesn't explicitly reference them. Very, very explicitly, UC Davis is a signatory of the United Nations Academic Impact Initiative, which is an initiative to align universities in the United Nations, universities with the United Nations in supporting and contributing to the SDGs. So that's a very explicit partnership. We are also members of the UN Sustainable Development Solutions Network and the University Global Coalition, both of which are dedicated to supporting and sustaining and advancing the SDGs. So we are really committed to it. UC Davis also hosts public forums on a regular basis, specifically on the Sustainable Development Goals, trying to draw connections between those goals and the university's initiatives to improve things like diversity, equity, and inclusion, advance zero hunger, climate action, good health. You'll see quite a few of the goals as the theme of these forums, and it's really trying to draw public attention to the issues and how universities sustain them. So I think we have research in every single one of the goals of the Sustainable Development Goals if you look across the entire university, and that's important. We also offer professional degree programs outside of the university's traditional curriculum in things that are linked directly to Sustainable Development Goals like land use and environmental planning. So we're also trying to drive those goals out into public education beyond the traditional college degrees. The library is an important piece of all of this, mainly because we support the university's teaching and research mission in general. So we are also infused in all of those goals as we support the university's research mission. But more specifically, there are a couple of things some of my colleagues mentioned too. There's promoting open access, which is something that libraries do, and I'm sure we'll talk about more later. So I wanted to link back to what Matthias said about the university's role in collecting and amplifying the research of the university. So we're also working on a research information management system at UC Davis that will collect all the work products of the university's researchers and try to show how they're connected to Sustainable Development Goals and making an impact on the state of California, on the region, and on the world. So that's something that libraries can really, really lead at universities and helps us show how important and how impactful the SDGs really are. Thanks.
That's amazing. Thank you for sharing that. It's nice to see how the library can be intertwined with the institution in the same direction, and it's easier for strategic planning and like Matthijs said, setting a solid mission and being mission driven. So thank you. Let's shift our focus a little bit. All right, we talked about adoption. Now let's talk about the impacts. Okay, so given all the challenges that we've faced over the past year, which there have been a lot, all right, how are the SDGs supporting your library or institution's work as we emerge and move forward? And I want to pose this first to Evie so that she can get us started on this.
Thank you, Earl. Okay, the SDGs support our library work, I think in many ways. It has been a difficult year globally on many fronts. And one front has to do with social justice, misinformation, citizenship. And academic libraries, we are in a position to educate on these issues. When people are aware and are given the opportunity to learn, to read, to think about these issues, then obviously they become sensitive to them, they care, they discuss, they participate, they contribute. So it is important to take sides and as libraries and avoid neutrality on these important issues. It has been a year of, I think, of personal growth for all of us, of realizing the need for social responsibility, the need for equity, for inclusion. Libraries can lead with the SDGs, which include these values, and it's important for all of us, I think, to be on the right side of history, the side of good values. Last year also we witnessed a fast forward in the use of technology in education. We witnessed this fast forward in our libraries as well, as everyone adjusted and learned. And we also witnessed inequalities of access, made us think a lot about different access needs and how we can support them. So both these issues linked to SDGs. Also, I think it's important to rely on important organizations when we set our goals for the future. So using SDGs in our planning can help us with advocacy with our stakeholders, as we do with the ALA, for example. We all live in complex environments with many conflicting priorities, and having this important guidance can help us focus on what has most impact, let's say, for the future of our communities, but also for the future of humanity. Greece has been working on the SDGs, and I hope that eventually more people will make the connection that libraries hold the key for supporting the SDGs, and that is the educational and the learning key. And that is for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Evie. One theme I picked up in that was social responsibility. It's something that we have seen now and has come to the forefront in our society globally is social responsibility, and as you said, where you stand on the side of history. And so I want to go to McKenzie. Thank you, Evie. I want to go to McKenzie with the same question on the impacts and how are the SDGs supporting and how do we emerge and move forward?
Yeah, thank you, Earl. Once again, popping it up to the level of the university, which the library supports and partners with, that in general, not just last year, the Sustainable Development Goals are really among the biggest challenges that we face in the state of California, just as they are in other parts of the world. For example, poverty, food and housing insecurity, lack of adequate health care, environmental pollution, and social justice are all huge challenges that my state faces and that my institution has a responsibility to work on even before the pandemic and everything else that happened. So advancing all of the goals, as I said before, is part of our mission, not just the obvious ones that we can all see relate to libraries, like quality education and reducing inequality. But last year, I will say two areas in particular emerged, and those were health and climate, because of the nature of the research that my university does. So California experienced climate change effects in 2020 that were historic, including massive wildfires that wiped out huge parts of the state agricultural areas. California produces about a third of the country's vegetables and 2/3 of its fruit and nuts. So what is bad for California is bad for the entire country. And goals like number 7, which is the affordable clean energy, number 11, sustainable cities and communities, number 13, climate action, are directly related to that problem. And the other, of course, is the pandemic and healthcare. My university does a lot of research, as I'm sure my fellow panelists' institutions do as well, in things like the animal-human virus transmission process, virology, epidemiology, engineering for aerosol research, all of the things that we need to understand better to stop the pandemic and stop them from happening again. So healthcare and those particular sustainable development goals rose to the very top this year, and every part of the university, including the library, has pivoted to really focus on how we can help advance those particular goals this year, given where we are today. And I think that's a pattern with the SDGs, is that at any moment in time, something's going on that links to one of those goals and that we can all kind of get behind for a while and really put our collective effort into. So I'll just say again that the library's part in that has really been to not just support the research in those areas, but to try to highlight what we're doing. So for example, we have a lecture series called Savor that we do together with our College of Agriculture. And we did a big event on climate change and its impact on the wine industry. I know, boo-hoo. But it was about how the climate change and the wildfires and such can really destroy a critical industry in our state. So we had a former governor come and speak with some of our research scientists and drew hundreds of people. One good thing about being online is that people can join these events from anywhere in the world. So our attendance is way up and our impact is way greater than it would have been before we all went virtual. So I think we have a lot to do in that area, and the goals are really helping us think about our priorities and where to put our effort. Thanks.
McKenzie, that's a good point. Even with the pandemic and having to do things differently was almost like a blessing. It allowed us to reach out and provide greater impact. And I want to pose the same question to Constantia. How do we emerge from and how do we move forward using these SDGs to support our library?
And McKenzie reminded us that the impact of local events have truly a global impact, from food supply chain to climate sustainability. So reflecting on 2020 was a year unlike no other we have experienced in our lives, and it was defined by tragedy, disruption, and ultimately by transformation. Our world has changed forever, and the lessons of 2020 will guide our futures. We have learned how to become resilient and extremely flexible and creative in introducing new ways for meeting user expectations and supporting our communities. We also learned that a global pandemic has a global impact in everything that we do and in every way that we think about and plan the work that we do in our futures. So during 2020, we have also witnessed the extraordinary effort of heroic acts of so many people who supported our communities and transformed our societies in a very powerful and compassionate way. We discovered that community gives us strength, and we discovered that collaboration and partnerships make us stronger. We have also come to appreciate the importance of sharing our resources with others, and how much we also miss the vitality of that shared participation that we all used to have in our libraries when we all gather together. But the most important lesson that I take away from 2020 is that our decisions need to be informed with greater commitment to equity, diversity, and inclusion, and the importance of advancing quality of education and information equity. We also come to appreciate the importance of healthcare and medical information, and our ability as libraries to convey accurate and reliable information that informs the community, especially during the pandemic, on how to stay safe and healthy. Thank you, Errol.
Thank you. And I do want to say this, just to kind of clear this up. My associate director of the library's name is Constance, and my boss's name is Connie. So when I'm pronouncing your name, that's coming through as I'm speaking. So I do apologize, Constantia, for not getting your name perfectly correct. But I do want to move to Matthias and give him the same opportunity to speak on this question. Go ahead.
Thank you, Errol. Looking back at last year and, well, possibly a substantial part of this year, I must admit that there were days I didn't think about the SDGs and just tried to soldier on. But I want to take a leaf from Constantia's book and look for opportunities. Suppose we take Go Forward, quality education, which is a natural thing for us as a library within an institution for higher education. But if you look it up and check at the UN website, I think it's really inspiring. It's also about lifelong learning opportunities. And if you think of this, this would imply that every citizen has access to a university library, not only your own academic community. Well, at least in Rotterdam, we already offer access on a walk-in basis, which is admittedly quite useless in this COVID era. But licensing is always an issue if you want to reach out and offer online access beyond the borders of our own academic community. So this raises the question, can we make our big deals more inclusive, e.g. by including public libraries? And if we continue pursuing this route, we also need to rethink our digital library infrastructure. Now, almost all of us provide access based on IP range. And if we really want to support lifelong learning, we should move to role-based access using single sign-on. And I just take this single example to show how the SDGs can be translated from a high over purpose to a tangible library project. So as I see it, the SDGs are not something extra on top of your library strategy, but it can be a really inspiring instrument to focus your efforts and also demonstrate your added value as a library. And that's how we try to use them in Rotterdam.
Thank you, Matthias. That's a good reminder, and I loved how you linked it to Constantia and what she talked about. This is, and all the panelists, honestly, and being real and candid about the pandemic and how there were opportunities sometimes for us to check out and not think about the SDGs, and then realizing that, hey, part of our work and what we do and what we've always done, we can now incorporate it into the SDGs because this is who we are, and we have a social responsibility to do so. So I want to pause right there and take a moment to hear from you, the audience. So using Poll Everywhere as we did before, I want to reach out to you, and here's our question. Of the 5 SDGs shown here, which 2 do you think are the most important for academic libraries? Is it quality education, which is SDG number 4, decent work and economic growth, which is SDG 8, reduced inequalities, which is 10, peace, justice, and strong institutions, which is 16, and finally, partnerships for the goals. This is your opportunity that we get to hear from you. Overwhelmingly, we are seeing quality education, followed by reduced inequalities. This is good. And some of these can connect. Keep that in mind. You know, reduced inequalities can also connect to peace, justice, and strong institutions as well. So it's good to, when you think about the SDGs as our panelists talked about earlier, we can practice a lot of them at the same time while still yet being focused on one. It's awesome that way, and I love the way that they're designed and how they're thought of. So right now we have, here's our results, 46% we have for quality education, 45% quality education, 6% decent work and economic growth, and reduced inequalities, SDG number 10, 33. So our top 2 are quality education and reduced inequalities. Thank you all for participating. We're going to move forward here and being mindful of our time. And so we're going to come back to our panelists. So now let's go beyond education, okay? And I'm going to pose this question to Matthijs first to have him start us out. So we know that academic libraries are natural partners in providing quality education to the communities and universities that they serve. So besides SDG number 4, which is quality education, which of the other goals Global Council has chosen to focus on do you think are important for academic libraries, and why?
Thank you. I think I'll go with our colleagues in the poll. I would opt for reduced inequalities. And I'll explain why. What worries me is that COVID tends to increase differences that are already there. Most vulnerable groups are being hit hardest by the crisis. Older people, people with disabilities, children, women, etc. So I think that reducing inequalities is really a top priority. And I realize that I'm quite privileged working at the top 100 research university in Western Europe, where, for instance, online access to most online content is taken for granted. And yet, in our own institution, I also see an increasing inequality. For instance, there seems to be a drop in research output former women research staff and an increase by our senior male researchers. As a library, we manage our research output, and it is our job within the academic community to raise awareness that this is happening. And the uncomfortable truth is that inequality was already there, and apparently we have a system that widens the gap if the pressure is on. So I hope that there will also be an incentive to change the system, and I think the library can be a catalyst for this change by making the case and by making the case data-driven.
Hey, thank you, Matthias. That was some wonderful insight on the systems that were in place and how we can make progress on those systems moving forward. And I want to pose the same question to Evie. If you can jump in this, beyond education, please elaborate.
And that's a very good point, Matthias. Our approach is to be pragmatic about the list of the SDG goals. It's definitely our responsibility to raise awareness for all the goals and work together to bring resources to our communities. But we will actively get involved and act on the ones that are crucial, let's say, for our communities. And of course, we're all in a different level concerning the goals. In Greece, as in economies a bit further out, beyond the West, let's say, it is relevant to focus on decent work and economic growth, number 8 from the list. And how can libraries help? Our communities here have a need to be able to get into employment, to develop professionally and survive. It has been a tough financial decade for Greece, and people have been struggling. And we had at the peak unemployment that was really, really high, and COVID, of course, doesn't help. As a school, we offer career services, entrepreneurship services, workshops, mentoring services, networking with partners, business idea competitions, and of course, a lifelong learning center. As a library, we offer co-working spaces, currently not, actually. We help with writing and support writing, and we offer resources. We're a small college, and our human resources are limited, and this makes us, personal with our students. We know our students, we know our alumni, and I think, and I find that saying yes to collaboration opportunities with other departments of the institution, but also external works. Thank you.
Thank you, Evie. I work here at a small college, and it's about community for us as well. I mean, establishing community and partnering and removing the systems, as Matthijs said, and the silos. And thank you for your answer. That was sensational. McKenzie, please, same question.
Thanks, Earl. Well, once again, I think you'll hear very consistent themes with this question as well. Beyond quality education, of course, what's top of mind here in the U.S. is definitely the goals of reducing inequality and peace, justice, and strong institutions, which I think speak very strongly to libraries. This is part of our eternal mission and values is to support those particular goals. And so, as Evie just said, we already have a lot of things going on that advance those particular goals. But given what happened here in the U.S. last year, those have become an incredibly high priority for us now, and have really forced my library, and I know many others, to step back and take a hard look at what we're doing and how we're doing it to see if we can do even better in these particular areas. So, for example, my library launched a new strategic planning process that just started, directly coming out of what happened last year, and it will have diversity, equity, and inclusion as both a design principle in how we do the planning to be as inclusive as possible, but also a sort of focal point and guiding light for all of the goals that we come up with. We really think that we've done a good job in the past, but there's a lot more libraries could do to advance those two areas, both internally and externally. So, for example, providing better career pathways to librarians of color and all other people who want to get into our profession. And then externally, open access. I mentioned it before, but open access and open scholarship are things that libraries are leading that drive down inequality and make scholarship more inclusive. So I have to just end by saying that to really achieve those goals will require global partnerships. We're not working in a vacuum. Scholarship and publishing and all of the things that we are related to are global activities. So once again, it's going to come down to what we can do together. Thank you.
Thank you, McKenzie. And Constantia, I want to give you an opportunity to respond and maybe even touch on something that your fellow panelists have shared.
And I echo my colleagues' comments. All sustainable development goals are equally important, and they are also very interdependent from each other, especially SDG number 8 for economic growth and 10, reducing inequalities, and for peace and justice. I share my colleagues Matthias' thoughts and Eva's concerns that a national crisis and a world crisis and events such as the pandemic tend to increase differences that are already in our society, mostly among vulnerable groups of citizens being hit the hardest during a crisis. So as institutions serving an educational mission, our libraries are preparing people to enter the workforce and to enter society. Our libraries are responsible for achieving educational equity, advancing access to economic and social prosperity, and encouraging full participation in society, informing our communities with accuracy and integrity of information. We are also responsible for stepping into our past histories of our communities and our countries and addressing the past with our ability as libraries to preserve the past and to build research with resources, and especially for populations and unrepresented groups, civilizations, and societies who are at risk. Thank you, Errol.
Thank you, Constantia. As you were speaking, I was reminded of a quote I heard from John Maxwell, and he's a worldwide leadership guru, and he says that crisis always resets the status quo. And as I was listening to you, I was thinking about our status quo. We now have the opportunity as libraries to, in using the SDGs, help shape what that new status quo will be, instead of continuing down the path of systems and allowing the systems to set it for us. So thank you. And I think that moves us to our final question. And when we're talking about all of this, and I want to say, as I read this to you, as a OCLC Global Council library leader, what closing thoughts do you have about how libraries can work together to help our world achieve these goals? And that kind of moves about the status quo as well and reshaping that. So how can we help our world achieve these goals? And I want to start with McKenzie first.
Thank you, Earl. Yeah, I guess I've already mentioned partnerships in pretty much all of my answers to these questions because, of course, with a global international effort like the Sustainable Development Goals, no one institution or library can really move the needle, although we all have to try. So partnerships is really the cornerstone of the SDGs, and that's why one of the goals is, in fact, partnerships. Number 17 is how can we work together to advance these goals, right? So it's cooked into the goals themselves. So I mentioned in my last answer that I think the themes of reducing inequality and peace, justice, and strong institutions really require partnerships at this scale of OCLC and beyond. So that I've already talked about. I didn't talk a lot about open access, but obviously that is another area where we can work collectively to reduce inequality, at least of access to critical information and combat misinformation. So I know most libraries are very committed to the principles of open access and open scholarship. And I'm very heartened to see a lot of progress in that area in the past few years. And the University of California has doubled down to try to advance that goal within our own activities. in the library and at the institution. So open access is a big one. And then third, I think, as I mentioned, libraries have a unique role in a way to collect information about our activities and how they support the SDGs. And Matthias mentioned right at the beginning a dashboard that his institution is creating to track all of that for Rotterdam or for Erasmus. And we're doing something similar to that, but also starting to look at some new areas of research in the library world that would require partnerships at scale to really achieve, and that is mining the literature to see if we can show how the research that our institutions are doing is directly supporting and advancing SDGs. So we actually have a project working on that now in partnership with Göttingen University in Germany, which just shows that, partnerships are a really important aspect of this because the way that we demonstrate that impact will have to be something we all agree on. So this is something I think OCLC could help with and all of the people on this call, and I hope that we can think about how to do that to show that the library community is committed to the SDGs and our institutions are, and that we're really doing something about it. Thanks.
McKenzie, thank you. And I want to circle back to Constantia on this question as well, and give you an opportunity to respond to anything McKenzie has said, but also to just answer the question. Please.
Thank you, Errol, and thank you, McKenzie. Yes, communities is our strength, and partnerships at scale is key. Our libraries and institutions play a vital role in educating and the next generation of leaders, creating knowledge and advancing research for both public and private sectors, and playing a critical role in shaping the direction of national and international economies. The pandemic has caused the biggest disruption education has ever known, but it also created opportunities to reinvent the ways that we do our work and the ways that we re-engage with each other, the ways that we learn and the ways that we define our priorities and appreciate our humanity with kindness and compassion. So my colleagues at the University of Pennsylvania Libraries and I, we look forward to working with others to address some of those most pressing questions, including how we can redesign our libraries in support of sustainable development goals, recovery, and reinventing pathways for education to build a new world that motivates us to be inclusive, to have a positive impact to our society. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for that answer. Matthijs, please join this conversation. Let us know.
Yeah, well, I think of libraries working together. It's about people. It's about us, like we're doing here in this meeting. It's about librarians. And whatever stereotype thought there may be about librarians, the dusty people shushing their patrons and all, it's above doubt that librarians are people you can trust. And there are librarians everywhere. So I think these two properties make libraries the best possible partner to help achieve the SDGs. And the fact that we are having this online OCLC meeting together with hundreds of colleagues all over the world, I think it's a great example of it. So actually, I do not think we have to do something special. Librarians are already quite special. I've never called upon a fellow librarian in vain. So it's actually, we can just read out to each other and start a partnership tomorrow if we just live up to being a librarian.
I hear you saying it's in our DNA to do what we do. Thank you. Evie, please, same question.
Thank you, Matthias. Well said. Well said. Thank you. Okay, so I think it's always great to see large university libraries creating, guides and resources on SDGs, and libraries across the world having initiatives, creating content, and sharing these content is inspiring. Thank you, and it's very useful to all of us, the smaller universities and colleges. I would love to see more of focus, though, on guides that share more what SDGs mean for individuals, for citizens, to support the goals, and also best practice about what libraries can do to support the goals, it would be wonderful. Having said that, it was great to see last year in the IFLA conference in Athens, the library map of the world, where we can find SDG initiatives that libraries kindly share, and I hope Meryl can share the link that I provided, or I can do later. So there are wonderful examples there that we can all explore, and we can all upload our initiatives there and share with correct metadata. We in academic libraries beyond the West, and I also speak as the chair of the coordinating committee of AVICO. And as I said earlier, this is a consortium of American liberal arts colleges outside the US. We rely on larger institutions and libraries because we are smaller and also further out. So publishing and sharing best practice is important for the world, for all our smaller libraries. I think it is important that we also stop duplicating and that we embrace open access, and also not only for scholarship but also for other initiatives. So all content that we create, we can adopt Creative Commons licenses, we can upload on open access repositories with advice and correct metadata. And I agree with McKenzie that partnering is really, so important. Working together is important. I think also that we live in an era of hope beyond COVID, I think, because what has happened is that all major library conferences in the world finally are offering their event online, as well as professional training providers that's offering easy access of participation to all of us beyond the US and beyond the region. And I honestly hope that this will stay, because it is more sustainable for us, more, let's say, it's easier for us to attend. I also think that it's important to have this discussion. So in our institutions, in our communities, amongst librarians, and thank you to OCLC for providing this opportunity today. I think closing to say, I would like to say that information touches every single one of the goals, and the libraries already play a major role, as Matthias said. Let us all have more confidence and continue to develop professionally. And I say confidence because sometimes we don't talk about all the good things that we do. We need to continue to develop professionally. And I would like to say to our audience today, you all have my deep respect for the wonderful work that you're doing for your communities and for the world. And thank you to OCLC for connecting us today.
Thank you, Evie. I'm very grateful for this conversation today. All of our panelists, you've been just awesome. This has reignited my vigor in this, because I'm at a small library, and when I say small, I mean we have 6 people. So it's a small library, and it's a small academic library, but we're not in this alone. And I'm encouraged from this conversation today, because in all that I was able to hear and take notes on myself, partnerships are the key. Partnerships in the profession, partnerships in the community, partnerships at your institution, and continuing education, and how more accessible it is for everyone in your library. It used to be maybe 1 or 2 people could get to continuing ed, but now, because things are online and more virtual than ever before, almost everyone has an opportunity to grow and to add value to the institution, and we can really make progress on the SDGs. And so you don't have to have an institution that has a lot of money or start from being wealthy or for profit. You can be nonprofit, you can be poorly funded, and you can still do it through partnerships. So thank you very much. And I want to give a nice big shout out and thank you to all of our panelists, Constantia, Matthijs, McKenzie, Evie. Thank you so much for attending and joining us and participating in today's event, and to you, the audience, for coming to this event and joining this conversation. And before we close today, I do have some announcements that I would like to share with you. So first, please mark your calendar for the next webinar in our series, Public Library Work Meets Sustainable Development. All right, it will take place on March 9th, 2021, and you can learn more about the series, access previous recordings, and register for the remaining webinars using the link shown on the screen and being shared in the chat. Thank you again for joining us today. When you leave today's session, you will be asked to complete a brief evaluation. Please let us know. And please take a few moments to share your thoughts about what you thought about today, okay? We look forward to gathering that information from you, and we look forward to seeing you on March 9th. So once again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Thank you.